Hi everyone, my name is Tony Reynolds. This is my presentation for the Sensing the World competition at Element14. My project is Sensing Dryer Lint, improving apartment complex building safety through Internet of Things. Many of the easily interneted things are already connected. I had ideas for a bunch of connected sensors, but I needed a situation where the sensor could be used. And I discovered that I should go a little deeper. So I looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I mean, if you've ever explored this idea, it talks about the fundamental things that you have to be sure of so that you can proceed to things like inventing or self-actualization at the very top. And some of the fundamental things are your physical safety. I said, what could I do to improve people's physical safety? And I thought about how fire alarms work. And I said to myself, fire alarms are good, but they're already deployed. How could I make it so that I could sense other things that would be useful? And one of the things about a fire alarm is it's a trailing indicator. Like, it only tells you if there's a fire or smoke. And so you need to get moving in those situations. What if I could come up with a leading indicator? How could I tell when an ignition source might become available but not yet ignited? And that's where I came up with the idea for a Dryer Lint monitor. You see, I recently took my own dryer apart to replace the motor in it, and I discovered the thing was filled with lint. There's so much lint in there, you could easily start a fire. And I went looking up this information, and of course there are dryer fires. Of course. You can take the lint out of your own dryer from washing your clothes, well, from drying them, and use it to start a fire when you're camping, so why couldn't you easily ignite the stuff in your own home? So I decided that I could build a dryer lint sensor. But one of the things that I started to do was build a philosophy around what exactly needs to be interneted and what's just simply a connected sensor. So what do I mean by interneted? And it goes like this. Yes, you can feed data on anything up to the internet. I have a connected sensor for my sump pump, and in fact, your house alarm, if it has a monitoring service, has long been a connected sensor. Now, it doesn't talk to the internet, but it definitely talks to a monitoring service. In my mind, somebody that needs to provide a sensor for something needs to have a number of them. Like one of the examples in the IoT class on Element14 is about providing IoT sensing for a generator fleet that you might deploy and put into service at different locations and then haul around. You might want to track the hours, how heavy the load is, this kind of stuff. And I thought, how could I get to a point where I could sense lints in a lot of different locations and a lot of different ideas? I hit on me. It's an apartment complex. All you need to do is say, how many people can be affected by one lint failure, that is a dryer fire, or by a number of different lint situations that could cause the apartment management complex to be interested. So here's a lint situation. Nobody's cleaned out the lint in a dryer hose for years. That's pretty bad. Another one is you bring in an apartment and there are a lot of people living there, way more than the normal apartment might have. And if these people are doing a lot of laundry, then they have a lot of lint, and the lint buildup could occur faster than you might expect. So I said I could build an apartment complex lint sensor. And then I realized that in apartment complexes, such as the ones I've lived in, all of the dryer exhausts for one given section of the building exhaust in a central location. It's kind of like plumbing for water. That's central location, and then divided up into each apartment, the top apartments and the bottom apartments. Same thing with the dryer exhausts. They're all plumbed to a central location, especially in some apartment complexes that I've lived in. So it could be that you could build a sensor that could feed data for more than one apartment at a time, more than one dryer exhaust at a time. So that's part one. Hey, you could make this a little cooler, and you could do a lot for safety. So that's the idea. We're going to go sense lint. It'll be a leading indicator. and then you can get the apartment management team to run whatever dashboard we build, and that will tell them it's about time to go out there and clean lint in apartment 701. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Here's what I had to do. I had to figure out how you could sense lint. It's just fluff. I have some, but I forgot to bring it for the video. Everybody has some. Lint is very interesting. Everybody's lint is a little bit different colored depending upon what they're washing. Like I wear a lot of blue jeans, so I get purple colored lint. And I have some friends that wash a lot of sheets, and it's just how it is. And they get white colored lint. So depending upon how you have your life set up, you get different colored lint. So I said, what if I could build a lint sensor that used this little device right here, this AS7261. It's a colored sensor. Like imagine if you could put this, if this color sensor from this clipboard were to go into the dryer hose, you could see that the lint in there is typical of what you've got, and maybe it's got some lint buildup. Okay, that's cool. You could sense purple. Great. Or white. Those are awesome sensors. But the problem is that apartment complexes in particular change tenants. So you can't just use one color of lint, or you can't just expect a single color of lint between cleanings. So you have to find something that will sort of directly sense the lint. And I thought maybe I could just use wind speed, because wind speed would tell me when the dryer's running, and I could use that to know when the lint is being deposited. And a lot of dryer runs would probably mean a lot of lint. Well, that's another problem, because wind speed doesn't directly sense the lint. Wind speed just tells you that there might be lint. So how could you figure out when you actually have lint? Well, just look inside of a dryer, or look inside a dryer hose, and here's your answer. Lint is there when it covers the inside of the dryer hose. It'll just be completely covered with lint on the inside. The dryer that I told you about, I had to pull lint off of it with, just scrape it off and wad it up and throw it out, because it was everywhere. And so I thought, man, lint just deposits itself, and I could use an optoencoder, and I could simply say, hey, if there was a little bit of lint between the sensor and the transmitter, well, guess what? You wouldn't be able to get a message across. The result would be no data, and you would know immediately that you can't, that you probably have lint. So if you can see the light, your lint situation is okay. If you cannot see the light, if it's been interrupted, lint okay is not true, and you need to have somebody come clean it out because there's enough lint deposited. Well, obviously you can't stick that clipboard up inside the dryer hose, because to do so means you have to stick the entire exploration, what's it called here? Sorry, I keep forgetting its name. The Azure Sphere MT3620 starter kit. You got to stick the whole thing up in there, and that won't work. It's too big. You go to push it in there, and then the other thing is that board probably isn't designed to run in the humid environment of a dryer. Dryers work because they exhaust water from your clothes, and so the result is, hey, look, there's a lot of humidity inside that dryer. So what you need to have in the dryer is just enough sensor to let you know that there's air flowing and that there's lint interrupting your light path, and that's it. Everything else needs to be externalized from the dryer hose. So that's what I built. I built a custom clipboard. That's what the pictures are for on the website. And I ran a pretty long wire from the clipboard to a custom sensor board that just has an IR LED and an IR sensor on it, a phototransistor. And then the clipboard has a tiny FET amplifier to ensure that I can get the right amount of signal fed off to the MT3620. And then I wrote the software to make it all happen. Now, I have to say that we had some pretty good influences out there. I have to say thank you very much to Brian Willis. Your tutorials were awesome, and they were great quick starts. I ran all three of them, made a choice that I wanted to build my system off Azure IoT Central, and then I set it all up exactly as another telemetry indicator. I changed up your system a little bit as I indicated in my software section of my write-up, and then I had a working dashboard. Wow, it actually does what I need it to do. And if I needed to sense 4 different apartment complexes, or 2 at a time, or 8, depending upon the plumbing layout of the dryer exhausts, we could easily arrange that with the same MT3620. So now I've got this situation where I can know, one, that my dryer lints are okay, and 2, I can know that the data that I'm getting is coming from devices that I want them to because of the claiming function on the 3620 EVB. And 3, I can dispatch the cleaning crew to go out there and stick their hand up in it and just take enough lint out, or maybe replace a dryer hose or run a vacuum cleaner up in there and clean this out to significantly reduce the chance of a lint ignition, and maybe help a tenant explore a dirty dryer. That's a lot of work, but maybe the lint just keeps coming back, and that will help you understand that you need to go clean the whole thing out. So this was a lot of fun, and I have to say, I can't wait to see the other contestants work, because I'm going to learn a lot just by seeing what they did and understanding their software and their write-ups. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope you think about what you might want to do with your own dryer, even if you don't deploy my dryer monitor like I did. Thanks. Bye.